I guess you just have to think about that for a while. Astrology really is working with the mind and thinking, but it takes us up to the shores of God. It takes us up to the foot of the temple where we can begin to sense silence and bigger wonders and deeper things. But in the meantime, you can figure out the weather of everything, or think about it anyways. Then we have our choices, Venus, what we like, what we don't like, what we want, what we don't like. We make 1,000 choices in a daytime. And in a day, like just what I'm going to wear, how I'm going to comb my hair, if I'm going to get washed, how I want to be, what I want to do, what I like to see, what I want to eat, what I want to taste, what I want to feel, all the wants and desires. So the liking and the Venus is magnetism, the planet of attraction and magnetism, love and hate, attraction and repulsion. It's not neutral. It's really stormy. So it's very indulgent, or it can be very, a lot of the vices come when you have the 7 sins and the 7 vices, a lot of types of thinking and what your choice, like envy, vanity, flattery, all of these things of not being sincere about what you want, being deceptive. These are all Venus challenges between what you have and how you share what you have and what you're talking about, who's your friends, who you like, who you let in, who you don't. It's easy to be charming when you know you're going to get something, when you can't get it by charm. So the reason there's a God is that beautiful women and handsome men who get given everything when they're younger. They turn 50, and sooner or later they have to figure out the looks aren't the only thing. So there's all kinds of puzzles and mystical stories and mythologies and teachings around the planets. And we've gone through them all. So much of my teaching is geared to understanding different layers or frequencies of the planets. That's the real energies. And then we're seeing the scales of the signs, the scales of the houses to measure the effects of the planets upon, one in a worldly way, one in a qualitative way. So astrology has this really wonderful mix. So Venus rules the Taurus and the Libra. And it has a bit of sharing, of giving, but it's also be wanting, lusting, envying. I gotta have this, gotta have this, gotta have that person, I gotta want this. Like, it can have all of those things too. Mars is your action. We act. Why do we act? We act because we want something. Venus desires something and sets the order out to Mars. Mercury thinks of something to do and sets the order out to Mars. Venus can seduce Mercury and convince it to think, then the actions will follow the thoughts. Really, all of these are subplots where really it's your heart and sun should be deciding what's noble and what's worth doing, what fights are worth taking on, what actions are noble enough. But we start to hedge our bet on noble actions when we have advantageous actions, or actions that will gain things, or revenge, or like the revenge element, the scorning of Venus. When you don't get what you want, there can be a real bitterness that comes in, and the envy and the scorn can direct the Mars to be really assertive and aggressive. So having energy and not hurting people, that's part of the lesson of Mars. Well, there's 2 types of Mars energy. Mars rules Aries, the blatant impulse, just go on impulse and do what you can, see what happens. And Mars in Scorpio, which is more about the sexual commitments and intensities of the passionate side of things, like I'm doing this, I'm proving this to you, I'm proving this, the judgmental actions. And each can create, I've done this so you owe me. I'm just doing this, don't tell me what not to do. But either one, there's storms or battles that happen around how you use your Mars, how noble your energy is, how good your muscle tone is, how healthy your physical being is. It's not just about strength, it's about proper use of force, of like not hurting people. It's because we can do all kinds of things. It creates karma and creates problems, and that will interfere with our life as much as anything else. So each planet's, the next one's up is Jupiter. The planets we went through this ladder of planets of the consciousness as we went through it. But Jupiter is your principles and your understanding. With a right understanding, you can guide your actions a lot better than with a wrong understanding. The difficulty is when we're in a wrong understanding, we think it's right. We don't always, we can't, what we believe and what we're understanding and what we're basing our actions on, or how we're guiding our actions, could be a really corrupt or wrong thing. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of exploring and a lot of different perspectives to be able to develop a good understanding. So the understanding is the morality in Pisces and the principles in Sagittarius. They both are adventurous, traveling things. They look at many ways. They see many different ways of things. And by seeing how different people do things and how different cultures do things and different understandings are there, they develop their own understanding. But you can't presume that someone's Jupiter is noble or that. They're working through whatever level of consciousness they have, and it's their sense of what's right is guiding it. Trump has his side of his understanding, and he's going according to his understanding. For him, he's doing exactly what's right. For everyone else, it may not seem exactly so, but someone else's standard often isn't. Often things happen in the world that pull us into group situations, Sag and Pisces, that we have to get involved with because of the understanding. If we don't, it's worse. So this is the uniqueness between Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury is individual thinking. In Virgo and in Gemini, it's a clear, free thinking, critical thinking. But in Pisces and Sag, it's the understanding, it's the contemplation, it's the overview. It tends to exaggerate and look at the overview, not at the specifics. That's the Jupiter, but these principles are supposed to guide your Mars. And the Saturn is the karmic results of what you've done, whether your understanding has been, if your understanding has been wrong, you're going to get bad karma. If your understanding is right, you might get good karma if your understanding is right and you can guide your energies properly. But if you hurt other people and you kill other people, or people get hurt because of it, even if it's driving drunk and somebody gets killed or you have an accident, you're still going to have who's responsible for your actions. What are the results of it? If you kill 10 people, you're going to have to save the lives of 10 people before that's balanced. And this can go across many lifetimes. And if we've been alive 100 times, how many times in 100 lifetimes do you think we've killed somebody or raped somebody or been raped or been killed? All kinds of karma, and all kinds of karma undone that affects our ambition, our responsibility, our backbone, our self-discipline today. So you can take it any way. You have kids, you do the noble things with your kids, you educate them, you develop values, you get them to be physically healthy, you get them out to expand, to see what the world's about, and you have rules and limits that you have to set for them so they don't get in trouble. Same thing. You can follow this up and down continuously, but the idea of the rulerships is each planet is a guide that rules a sign, is a guiding light for that sign. It's your guardian angel. So Mercury is the guardian angel of Gemini and Virgo. How you're thinking will affect who you are. But thinking is not a fixed commodity. So when Geminis are positive, they're the happiest, friendliest, freest thinking. When a Gemini gets fearful or dark or wrong, they get really dark, really nasty energies, nasty thoughts. It goes extremely from one end to the other. Same with Virgos. They be very intricate and perfectionist and be improving things, be very helpful, or they can be really critical and very negative and always criticizing and never always putting down evidence. So like the mind is a battlefield. How do you get it right? How do you make sure it's directed from your heart when the mind is trying to establish itself? But so the idea of the rulership of the Mercury is that how you actions follow thoughts. You are what you think. So when you're Virgo or Gemini, or anything in Virgo or Gemini is going to be affected by the attitude of thinking, but you can't presume the attitude is good. You can't presume the thoughts are good. They can go, you have to observe to see what level someone's thinking on. And you can be so sure you're thinking clearly and then find out later, oops, there's another way, or I missed something or something else. And then you want to explain it, but that explaining is a rationalization. Again, that's Mercury. Rationalizations are not the same things as sincere feelings, empathy, or heartfelt being. So the puzzle of the mind is there, especially for the work. But really, my point is, we think how we think, and we're thinking, well, hopefully this is better than it was when I was 10 years ago, or maybe I've learned and I'm thinking better now, or angry, or worse, or I got my common sense. that how I navigate, that's the Mercury, and wherever level that's in, that's how it's going to affect your chart. So if you're a Gemini or Virgo, it's very important, right thinking, not just thinking. It's important to get the good thinking, the clear thinking, the usefulness of the free, clear, high, idealized thinking of Gemini, or the really practical, healthy, helpful, critical thinking. You know what's not true, what's true, what's not true, like Virgo. But there's a wide spectrum in here. So, the idea that the rulerships are your guardian angels. So if it's Mercury and your mind and you're not thinking right, everybody's going to be messed up, or whatever's in those signs is going to be messed up by it. It's going to affect your heart. It's going to take you away. You're going to have to make extra effort to get centered in your heart, to put perspective on your mind. With Venus, be careful what you want, what you ask for. When you want something, you can attract it. When you attract it, you have to put up with it. So once you get something, you say, oh, I want you, I love you, we'll marry forever. Oh, I don't want you anymore, I want someone else. It really affects your quality of staying with someone you don't want, wanting someone you can't have, desiring. There's so many complexes and storms around our desires, our choices, what we want, what we like, what we don't like. Just as it's difficult to eat, Moon, something you don't like, or to wear something you don't like. Become very self-conscious. Our values, which should be radiant guides that are guiding what's worth getting, what's worth not getting, they get interfered with by indulgence, lust, passion. They force the values down onto a grosser level. Well, that's grosser levels where most people are living. What satisfies you? What do you want? If you're not satisfied, how can you think straight? If you can't get what you want, if you get everything you want, how can you think straight?